Welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast.
You don't know history, you don't know wrestlers, you don't know matches.
My belly's just a little big, my hand is just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad.
There is no revolution.
You are truly the future of Lucha Underground.
I got it. How about a little heel turn?
And if they piss somebody, if they took somebody off here, well then, there goes their career.
Well, don't piss anybody off.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. The wrestling podcast will review Monday Night Raw, but most importantly, where we talk about people being suspended for doing basically nothing. Yes, we're going to be talking about that. That's going to be a big talking point this week. There's lots actually in this episode that we're looking forward to talk about. Of course, my name is Turbo Tony. I am the man who brings you all of this audio goodness every single week. But of course, talking about men that have been suspended, I am joined now by a man who has himself been handed a 60-day suspension for coughing out of turn. It's Matt Marsander.
And I regret nothing.
You regret nothing.
You have that moment where it's like, I have to. It's now or never.
Yeah, that's it. And we all know Vince doesn't like germs on him. So, yeah, that's 60 days for you there, Matt. So, you may as well have just done drugs twice.
I may as well have just gone off on a binge.
Yeah, why not? I can go for it, yeah. We're going to be talking, people already are starting to figure out our thoughts on that particular subject. We will be talking about that in quite some length. How are you doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, not been too bad.
It was your birthday week.
It is, but yes, it has been.
Happy birthday to you. Yeah? Do you like that?
I like Marilyn.
I'm not giving you the whole fucking... Yeah, I'm not giving you the whole song. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because it would just be...
Hate that crap.
You do. Well, I'll tell you what, next time I'm over, I will do the entire... I'll even create more parts to the happy birthday song just to sing for you.
So the other half just sort of like, I know how much you hate it, so I've made a booking for a restaurant. Like they don't know. I know it annoys you. I was like, oh, okay.
And it's not even it's like a kid's restaurant, so they
She lied. She lied. She did everything. It's like, I'm going out there to really fuck with him.
Oh, well. To be honest, I would have done exactly the same, Matt. So, yeah, you're surrounded by people that are going to fuck with you. That's just the way it is.
That's it.
Yeah. What fine choices in company you keep, shall we say. Myself, people may have not noticed last week, I was feeling a bit sick over last week's recording. I got really sick the day after that recording. I was in bed most of the day. So yeah, but I'm feeling great now. So there is that. We're recording a lot. I'd say a lot earlier. We're recording in the middle of the day this week. We normally record at 8 o'clock at night. So this is a bit different for me. I'm feeling like a spring chicken, Matt. I'm feeling ready for this week, which is good because we've got a lot of very interesting topics to go into.
There's lots to go on, yeah.
There is indeed. All right, Matt, do it for us. Drop that Twitter handle.
That's at Talk Wrestle Pod.
That is it. And of course, we've got our Facebook page, facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. A lot of interactivity going on that page, and lots of questions being asked of us there. So that's good stuff as well. And what's funny in my notes, for some reason, I must have got it on the wrong way around. I put the notes that we need to plug the Twitter twice. Don't need to, but maybe I was just tired when I did them. There you are.
I think so.
Little insight there into my note-taking throughout the week. And what do we have for you in case for this week, guys? Of course, we've got a very juicy podcast. We've got that news, lots of big news this week to talk about, and the repercussions that I think are going to be felt within WWE for quite a good period of time. We've got our fan feedback with some really doozy questions in there, some good ones. And then we've got our NXT report card, where we're going to be singing the praises of one of NXT's greatest ever wrestlers. And Matt doesn't even know. So there you are. And obviously talk a little bit about this week's episode. There wasn't that much really to speak about. It's more that you have to watch it for the wrestling content, but still. And we've got our Raw review if we have time at the end of the show, because we're trying to get this below 2 hours. If we run on a little bit, we may just rush the Raw review, give our overall thoughts, and be on our merry way, because me and Matt were never in the. I like going through, Matt. Have you seen in our videos? Like our very first video of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast was an hour, and then gradually, as the weeks have gone on, it's grown. And I'm just like, 2 years down the line, we're going to be doing like 4-hour podcasts, and that to me does not sound enticing.
It's just going to end up having to be now. We give opinions, we give reviews. We can't do the same.
Yeah. In 10 years down the line, we've grown into a 24-hour podcast that we just can't stop. We just keep talking. That's just the way it is. Anyway, Matt, without further ado, with any procrastination, any Deadpool talk, because you went to see it the other day, I'm seeing it tonight. I'm very excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, this isn't the Let's Talk Deadpool podcast, although that would be a pretty damn awesome podcast. We've got wrestling to speak about. And the big news story over the course of this week, there were two. We're going to talk about the one that's probably less controversial. Daniel Bryan announced his retirement this week. And a lot of this episode that we're going to be talking about is in regards to Daniel Bryan himself, of course. He's retired from professional wrestling. From what far we've seen of it, he hadn't done an AJ Lee and said, I'm retiring from WWE. He has retired from wrestling due to concussion issues. And Matt, you ended up watching the entirety of his Sports Center interview, where he said he'd been hiding a lesion on his brain causing seizures or something like that. Like that's pretty fucked up.
I mean, since then, I actually saw someone like share a video. It was during like a SmackDown match. He'd been like clocked in the head by Barrett, and he was actually fitting. I don't know whether that's... Well, the only problem is now it's sort of like that could have just been as part of the cell. I mean, he was bleeding.
Yeah.
But that could have been as part of the cell. Like, we don't know that anymore.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, maybe it was real.
Yeah. You know, obviously a lot of people were talking about he's had 18 months of injury problems, and the last 6 months have been him trying to get cleared by WWE, and he's had these independent doctors clear him, but that obviously doesn't matter. It's down to WWE. And when the news like this comes out, and he even said in his book, I think he signed his own retirement when he released that book, because in his newest book he states there that he lied about his concussion history on his first medical exam with WWE. This is back in the NXT days.
Yeah.
And I think the comment there was that you're saying that Nigel McGuinness, I think, was doing the same, and he told them about an issue he had, and that was the reason why he never...
Well, he had McGuinness had a busted arm that he never...
I think he tore his bicep, didn't he?
Yeah, he never got it surgically repaired. So WWE were like, well, it's not officially fixed then, is it?
Yeah, that's right. And I honestly think, guys, that if Bryan had told them about the concussion issues back then, he probably wouldn't have been signed then as well. And a whole difference of what would have happened in WWE beyond that point. That's probably a big...
I think he may still have been, because, I mean, we're talking about before, like, all the concussion work...
Or the lawsuits and sort of stuff that have been filed in WWE's way. Maybe, I don't know. It would have been a lot less likely. I think that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, WWE, but people have to give them praise here, because clearly they didn't believe Bryan, which in this case was the right thing to do. Bryan was lying about his health issues. And they gave their own medical analysis of it, and they said no. Now, whether or not that was driven by... legal factors that they didn't want down the line to get sued by Bryan or something along those lines. Regardless of whether their heart was in the right place, they still, through their actions, will have given Bryan a better end of, his better after wrestling life, like quality of life, than he would have if he had come back.
Oh, agreed.
Like,
I mean, the one thing I read somewhere a report that with all the people, or like the former talent that were coming back and just sort of like, I got concussed and like now I want
I want settlement and all this.
Settlement and all things like that.
Yeah. I mean,
I think some of that actually boils down to why, sort of speculation as to why Bryan hasn't been cleared. Because they were like, well, if we've got one guy who's out for all these concussion issues, and we're currently getting sued for concussion cases.
Yeah. Oh, that was definitely a contributing factor, absolutely. But what I'm trying to say is that whether or not they meant to or not, WWE did the right thing by him, and they by keeping him out. Because later on in his life, he's going to thank WWE for not clearing him. That's the way it is. Like it may not be a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm talking about 10, 20 years from now. He may look back and be like, man, I could have been a lot worse off if they had let me back.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy who had been wrestling, Matt, close to 2 decades. We're talking about 16 years, right? He's only a couple of years off having a 2-decade-long career. And in those career, Bryan never wrestled a match where he didn't stamp in his bump card correctly. He has taken his hits, shall we say.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot more in the indies than what he did in WWE. But even in WWE, Matt, some of the stuff he was doing, we said back then, I actually went back and listened, Matt, to a podcast we did just after he made his return from the first main injury that he had. And you and me said,
what, leading up to his Mania ladder match?
That's the one, yeah. And we were saying then that he needs to taper back some of his wrestling style.
Oh, yeah.
And we were shocked then when he came back that he didn't do that. In fact, he was wrestling in a very, very similar way that he had always been wrestling before. And we said back then that we're worried that it's going to come to a point where his body is just going to be like, no, you're not listening to me. I'm going to stop you from wrestling this way. And that looks to see like it's happened. It was like we jinxed the guy because what we said we were worried would happen, happened. You know, it did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't quite jinx. I mean, like, what were they putting down as the cause of his concussion was the fact that Sheamus bro-kicked him a little too hard.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like, the fact is that he wrestles a very physical style. Like, physical style and to his own detriment. Like, he would come out of his matches feeling a lot worse off than his opponent. And I make that assumption with a lot of research backing that up, you know. Because, you know, he's a smaller guy, he's a technical guy, and to get the pops here and there, he has to take the bigger bumps. That's just the way wrestling is. So, yeah, I mean, obviously this is a gut punch. You know, Daniel Bryan's career is over. Myself and Matt were there for, I think, one of his last appearances, because that was during the English tour that they did. And he was wrestling.
Joe, and the worst part is, we went home.
Yeah, we walked out of that match. So we walked out on one of the very, very last Daniel Bryan matches. But that's just something we'll have to live with, I guess.
Because Sheamus and Big Show came out.
Yeah, damn Sheamus and Big Show. Because we were up for watching Daniel Bryan, but as soon as they came out, we were like, no, we've got a train to catch. So, and I needed a drink desperately after that show because I'd been chanting so much and my throat was wrecked. So, this leads to a lot of questions here. This leads to a question of what happens to him now. Where does he go now that he's retired? And this isn't all we're going to be talking about him, by the way. We're going to be, because Raw did a good job of listing all of his big WWE accomplishments in the Raw review, so we're going to talk candidly about them as we go forward as well. But where does he go now? There's several places he could go, in my opinion here, Matt. My question to you, though, is, before we go into that, do you think he might be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year?
I don't know. I don't really want to say yes for this year. I think maybe hold out, but he's definitely a
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello? Oh, you're back. Okay, go on, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. No, I wouldn't give him Mania this year for Hall of Fame.
The reason I say that, Matt, is that the last time something like this happened where someone was forced out was Edge. And he was inducted that year.
Was it that year?
I think it was. If it wasn't, it was the year after. I think there was. I think there's a high likeliness, Matt, that he gets inducted this year. And some people might say, "Well, did he have a Hall of Fame worthy career?" I believe he did. I mean, there's a lot of people in there that didn't do as much. He main evented WrestleMania, right?
And took out 3/4 of Evolution whilst he was at it.
Yeah. And, you know, he was very accomplished. I mean, when you're talking about Hall of Fame, people might ask, oh, he didn't do enough as champion. And that's maybe one of the things that you can level as him, because the injury stopped him from having that proper world title run that he always should have had. But he still won the championship. He's still a 16-year veteran who had, 5-star matches littered across that career. Yeah, he's Hall of Fame, dead on, right? I actually think, guys, that we haven't seen many people go in yet. They announced Sting, and they haven't announced really anyone since then. I mean,
to be fair, also, he's a huge crowd favourite.
Yeah. It makes that whole, he could be... Sting is obviously going to be the marquee signing. Marquee induction. But Daniel Bryan being the second one of that, I think that's completely fine. You know,
Yeah.
they've got no one else labelled in for it, which it looks like they're struggling, at least. So Matt, talk about Hall of Fame. Where does he go from here? Now, there's two ways that I think he could go. One of which that he goes and becomes a trainer. Yeah, which you think he's a dead ringer for, considering he trained one of the trainers working in NXT in Sarah Amato, Del Rey.
Yeah.
So technically, then he should be a godfather down there, right? And the amount of stuff he could do to train people down there. But another thing that he could do, Matt, is that he could go and work with Evolve. And not a lot of people have spoken about the option of this, but a lot of people, maybe more so because you and me have read his newest book. The Evolve promotion was initially created by Gabe Sapolsky to be Daniel Bryan's promotion before he went off to WWE. That's how Evolve started, right? It was meant to be a joint thing between him and Gabe Sapolsky, and it's never ended up happening, but Evolve happened anyway. So there is a chance, considering the working relationship that they have with WWE. I mean, hell, they've had... Evolve is very closely linked to WWE at this rate.
Well, hell, recently Triple H was backstage at Evolve.
That's exactly right, right? And he was talking to some of the guys there. Some Evolve guys are wrestling on NXT sporadically anyway, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they might say, well, do you feel like going down there and training some of those guys or giving your feedback to some of those guys? Which I think Bryan would hugely enjoy, right?
So almost more Regal-esque talent scout.
Possibly. That may be another way, yeah. And like the other way that I think he could go is that he could go on a similar path to Mick Foley, where he decides, you know what, I really enjoyed doing that last book. Why not let me do more books? Or do more... I don't see him as a guy who's going to be doing tons of network shows. I don't think that's Daniel Bryan. He's more of a wrestler, right? He loves to wrestle. Charisma was never his strong suit, even though he was fine in that category. So yeah, I honestly think that he's probably gonna take some time off anyway, or maybe he's just sick of taking time off. Actually, he wants to start a family. Fair play to him. Maybe he's going to be a stay-at-home dad, whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of avenues open to a guy that is that innately talented at professional wrestling. I think one of the things that you said that you brought up really good, Matt, is that a lot of people have been saying, and I've seen it a lot, after you said this to me over Facebook and we were talking about this week's show, you said to me you've been finding a lot of people going, who's better, AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan? And the way I look at it is, well, I think of them the same way if you look at them in terms of skill and what they give to a crowd. I look at AJ Styles as Shawn Michaels, and I look at Daniel Bryan as Bret Hart. He wasn't as good as a performer as AJ Styles, but he was a phenomenal technical wrestler and who could tell a great story in the ring. I think Styles is a better performer than Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan is a phenomenal wrestler. He really is. And I don't think I can explain it any better if you're thinking of it in that sense, Matt. Are you under the same sort of assumption?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's easily said.
One heartbreaking thing, though, Matt. What was the one thing Daniel Bryan wanted before he retired? Considering who just jumped into NXT.
Oh, was it his Oh, to be fair, what his Nakamura match, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wanted his Nakamura match. He wanted to wrestle Nakamura. Just never. I know he has. I think he has done it, but he hasn't done it for WWE, and that's something that he vocally said that he wants this to happen. He wants it to be done.
Yeah.
And look when it looked like all the pieces fit into place.
And like Austin Aries had turned up and Styles had turned up. You're like, oh, people he could have great. Oh, he's gone. Yeah,
and he's out. All in all, Daniel Bryan, he's had an awesome career. He is. I bring up the thing with Mick Foley. I think he's got something similar with Mick Foley, where he heavily overachieved to what WWE wanted him to be. Right?
Yeah.
Like, WWE did not look at Daniel Bryan. When they come out and say B+ player, believe me, they genuinely thought of him that way. They didn't ever see him as a star that could draw. And it was the fans who elevated him to that position. And it's very rare that happens. Normally fans will, they'll just kind of go with the grain. But with this guy, they wanted to defy what WWE wanted because they were so heavily invested in Daniel Bryan. He has a lot to be proud of, but what's the one thing that's undefeated in sports at all? It's Father Time. And when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. There's just no way of getting around it. And maybe, Matt, arguably, he'll have more closure about this, because Edge always says that he has immense closure because the choice was made for him to retire. He didn't have the choice of when to retire. It was made for him. So actually, it made him end up feeling a lot better about it. That he, it's out of my hands. I've just got to play with the cards I'm dealt, Maybe that will work with him a little bit better than maybe if he had to make the active choice, or WWE told him, you have to retire, WWE told him that you have to retire even though you haven't accepted it yourself, sort of thing. So, maybe...
Do you know the one thing I loved about the whole thing?
Go on.
Like, I know we're sort of skipping to sort of like the end of Raw, but it was the one time where Brie could actually be called as over.
Yeah. And believe me, I'm sure this is a large part of the reason why she is challenging for the championship, but we'll get into that in our Raw review. I'm absolutely sure that...
it's playing a part.
It's playing a part. And people don't be naive enough. I'm not saying it's a problem, but let's not be naive. Brie Bella has not... She's one of the... anyone that deserves a title shot that could perform in a main event match with Charlotte, Brie Bella is not one of the ones that I would have put forward. So, extenuating circumstances and all that. Is there anything that you want to talk about here? We are going to talk tons more about Daniel Bryan over the course of this show.
I quite liked it.
Yeah. Oh, I thought, we're going to talk about his thing at the end of the show. We're going to review all of that.
Yeah,
just a spoiler.
Even the video packages I thought were great.
Yeah, I thought his speech was fantastic. I really did. I thought he couldn't have worded his speech any better, but we'll go into that as we go on. A little bit of a break-up tour before we get to the more controversial news story of the week. Let's talk about Finn Balor. He's injured. Worrying news here. We saw video at the end of last week which was quite funny actually, of Bayley doing his entrance, and that's how I found out he was injured, because he's got his ankle taped up, he's on the crutches. And she did the entrance phenomenally, by the way. She did
a great job.
She did. Now, the one thing about this that is on his side is that TakeOver Dallas still is quite a bit away. He's got weeks until Dallas is on the cards. I mean, it's WrestleMania week, isn't it? TakeOver Dallas. So he's got time. And by what I've heard on the grapevine, he should be at very least good enough to have a match then. Whether or not he's injured enough where he has to get it sorted after that match, that's going to be something they could deal with down the line.
Well, from what I heard, it wasn't much of a... like, he's injured, but it was like he's sprained more than like actually sort of out for the count sort of thing.
Yeah, he's not on the shelf, he's just healing up sort of thing. That's what I've seen. Which is good. I mean, a lot of people may say that coup de grace eventually is going to catch up to you. I actually think that move isn't as dangerous as some people make out to his feet. But because I think he's good enough, right? I think he's technically got it down. I think actually him landing on his arse and back when he rolls back onto it may be more of a damaging thing. But still, that's, the only person that can answer that is Finn Balor himself, right? With WWE's massive injury problems, though, man, wouldn't it have added big salt into their wounds if NXT then starts suffering some big injuries on their side? And I know they've had a few anyway.
Have you seen this, like, the most recent part? It'll probably, like, whether we'll mention it, I don't think it's worth it. But it's, like, it's almost been very clickbaity, as in NXT superstar injured.
Yeah.
Going on about, was it like Riddick Moss or whoever?
Yeah, and it's like someone that doesn't even wrestle, right? That doesn't even, hasn't had like TV time on NXT. That's clickbaity stuff, though, isn't it? It's the way that.
I have seen the video though. I can completely understand how he's injured and taken a bit of a knock to the old noggin.
Oh, I didn't see it. What happened?
So imagine like a 6-man suplex spot.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I did see it, yeah, and he kind of brain-busted himself, didn't he? Like... Yeah,
well, the thing is, I think it was because he went down first, because I think it was him, Dash and Dawson versus Zayn, Enzo Cass. Now, you've already got quite a variety in heights there on the face side of thing, because you've got Cass just like, hello!
Yeah. His extra foot over everyone,
I think it was the case that like Moss went down first, and then like Dash or Dawson landed on him.
Yeah. That's still not the most gruesome injury I saw this week. Kurt Zuma, football player for Chelsea, broke his leg this week. Oh, don't look for it. It is rough. It is not nice. So, but still. I'm just thinking about it now. I've got like shivers down my side. Because I've been there, guys, right? I'm still suffering to this day over a broken leg, right? So whenever anyone does something similar, I'm just like, oh, no. But still, there we are. Matt, are you ready to talk about the big elephant in the room this week?
I think we're going to have to.
I think we might have to. Titus O'Neil was suspended for initially 90 days, tapered down to 60, this week for grabbing Vince McMahon's arm. Here we go. This is going to be some conversation that we're going to have this week. This is a big talking point. And I think, Matt, that this decision that was made here is going to have repercussions for years to come. Mm-hmm. And people may be going, oh, maybe you're making this out. Let me explain this as we go along, why I think there's going to be repercussions for years to come. So explaining anyway what happened. So this week on Raw, not on the television one, I think it was done after the Daniel Bryan, his speech that was done on the network, right? I think so. I don't quite sure.
Yeah, it was on the network piece.
So you can find footage of it, guys. You can find footage of what happened. Now you may be wondering what happened when you watch it, but you can see what's going on, right? So Vince goes to leave, right? And then a hand kind of comes out of nowhere and grabs him, and it's Titus O'Neil. And he grabs him, and then Vince McMahon kind of pushes him away, and then it just fades to black, right? It just goes off at that point. It was right at the death of the broadcast, right? And that's all it is. Now, apparently, news, like reports have come out afterwards that apparently what Titus was trying to do, in a joking way, was stop Vince from leaving first for Stephanie to leave. He was trying to be gentlemanly, right? In a joking sort of way, you know? But no. That got him suspended. He now will miss WrestleMania, which is the biggest payday for the talent all year, right? Titus arrived at the SmackDown tapings. He was told of the suspension. He's gone home. And Matt, this is clearly, without question, first of all, this is fucking bizarre, right? This is dealing with a problem that's the size of an ant with an atom bomb, right? That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And this is a message. By no means, guys, this was not done directly towards Titus. This was done towards Titus, but as a message to the rest of the roster. Clearly, something they've been doing has pissed Vince off. And he was waiting, dare I say, for someone to do something so he could send that message. And Titus, unfortunately, is on the wrong side of it. And I'm just going to say right now, we're going to talk about this a lot here. This is fucking ridiculous. This is absolutely stupid. This guy, Matt, Titus O'Neil, cannot make money for his family for 2 months and miss that decent WrestleMania payday because he grabbed someone's arm.
Yeah.
Now, to put in perspective, Matt, yeah, like that, guys, we would make jokes about that sort of shit before, thinking it wouldn't happen. This is how bizarre it sounds. And now, he has got the same length of suspension than someone who has their second strike of their wellness drug policy for grabbing an arm. I cannot begin to explain how fucking stupid that is. And the message that Vince is sending to the rest of them is, you must be a fucking robotic professional at all fucking times.
Yeah.
Don't give... What is it? What we have in the opening of this of our podcast? Right at the drop of the sound? Well, don't piss anyone off. Well, it looks like you have to hold your breath and tiptoe around backstage to make sure you don't do something obscure. I said that joke at the start, Matt, about you coughing out of turn and getting suspended for it. We're fucking getting close to that at this point. That is ridiculous.
It is unreal.
Like, for grabbing someone's arm. Could they have not have just pulled him back like, literally, at the end of it, and Vince just said to him, look, don't want that to happen again. I understand that it's just something small, but it could get into something worse down the line. We just need to cut that shit out, all right?
The one thing that kind of confuses me the most is the fact that if it was something so small, like, part of the video, you clearly see Vince, like, snatch himself away from Titus and sort of, like, almost shove him away. And it's like, dude,
yeah,
that bad?
Clearly Vince's pride was hurt. I'm thinking that, like, at all. Like, he obviously didn't know it was going. Maybe he got a little bit frightened or whatever, and he's thrashing out in his old man way.
I mean,
right?
he's pushing 70. Maybe he still lives in the old mentality. You know, big scary black man's just grabbed him.
And that goes into another thing of what we're talking about, is that
because loads of people are thinking it's racist.
Yeah, a lot of people think that this is a racially driven suspension. Now, my thoughts on that before we continue on this rant. I think Titus's problem isn't because he's black. I think it's because he's expendable. This would not have happened if The Rock had grabbed him. Vince McMahon wouldn't have suspended him. Vince McMahon would have hugged him and licked his butthole if he asked. Right? He would have. If you are a asset to WWE, Vince would not have pulled this shit. He's doing it to Titus because he can. That's the only reason he's doing it, right? And because he has some point that he thinks he needs to prove. I honestly don't think that it's because he's black. Now, obviously, people are going to come up with their own assumptions about WWE's racial problems, and I'm not qualified to speak about that personally, right? But this is just my belief. I just think that if you had someone else do it that was white, I think they would have got the same done to them, personally.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if it's legit, or I mean, I didn't read it. I just thought it's bullshit anyway. But apparently there was like speculation that like Roman Reigns would get in trouble as a result of this. Like, you put your hands on the boss, and it's like,
what?
But,
Why do we have anything to do with Roman Reigns? It's just weird.
Because Roman Reigns punched him in the face.
Well, obviously that was planned.
I
that
didn't
was written
read
into
it.
Yeah.
I didn't read it. I was like, really?
Yeah.
You've got all this speculation, like, oh, big thing that could be affecting the main event of Mania, sort of thing. You're like, oh, that's kind of no.
Absolutely stupid. Yeah. So Batista came out, and I think he had the most on point sentiment with this. He sent a tweet out saying that he told Titus to ask for his release. I completely agree with the guy. If you're working for a company that is going to suspend you for 2 months where you're not making any money during that time, right? And Titus isn't exactly the guy who's going to be earning fucking merchandise money over the course of that time, right? Then you need to leave, right? Because no matter what, it looks like no matter what you do, you're going to get something. If they want to suspend you for whatever reason, they're going to suspend you. They'll find a reason to suspend you.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Vince, I don't think he cares, but I think he should be aware of what message he actually has sent to the roster. It may not be the one he thinks it is, which is you need to act more professional, right? The message he's sending is you do everything we tell you to by the T and don't do anything outside the box or you will be fired or you will be suspended, right? I'm sure that's the message going here. So when he's saying stuff like, well, people need to come outside their comfort zone, or people, or what is it like he said on that Austin podcast, Matt? People just, there isn't as much laughter today, you know, as there was back in the day. And he says it in a way that he wishes that it would go back that way. It's like, well, when you do shit like this, people are going to be afraid to laugh.
Scaring them into submission.
Yeah. Absolutely. This makes WWE, Matt, come off like a company of that are filled with utter penises. It really does. The corporate environment is getting immensely out of hand. You know? This is absolutely bonkers. This is ridiculous. You know, even if that rumor was true that he was doing it just to play around and say, oh, Stephanie first, ladies first. He's the first guy to get fired for being gentlemanly. Not fired, get suspended, sorry.
Suspended for chivalry.
Yeah, for chivalry. Apparently chivalry chivalry can get you heat in WWE. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. Either this is Vince trying to make a statement, right? Which nowadays, like, especially with this is just fucking stupid. Or he's been told by his suits, you need to make a precedence here, right? And he's just gone, oh, okay, fair enough. Like,
the thing is, like, did you see the the backstage interview with him?
With who?
With Titus on SmackDown.
No, I didn't. Did he have one there?
He did, yeah, and it was sort of like, you saw it, right? Well, just go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
And that's all they said. That's all he said. It's like, oh, I guess you want to know. I'm sure you want to know what happened. Like, yeah, kind of. It's like, well, you know, you saw it.
Yeah. Like, even more so, the fact that this was recorded for the network. This wasn't on Raw. Alright? So it's got nothing against... You know, I imagine that Titus, watching Daniel Bryan do his speech, was thinking at that point, well, formality has kind of gone out the window at this point, right? We're giving Bryan the time, we're trying to feel good, and he probably even thought they were off air at that point, right? Man, if I were Titus, I would leave the company. I really would. Just go do something else.
Well, it's kind of the thing. Like, I guess... Well, surely they'd have known that it would then go off to be like a quick extra 10 minutes on the network.
I don't know. I'm just more and more I talk about this, man. I feel sorry for this guy. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like he sent out a tweet. Apparently the news was once he found out what he did, he felt horrible about it. And I'm like, what have you got anything horrible to feel about? You did nothing. You didn't even hurt him, right? Or if you did, wow, like I said, guys, I think this sends a message to the roster, which is once you arrive, you do your shit and you leave. And if Vince wants that sort of environment that he keeps talking about in that interview with Austin, then man, is he put the final nail in the coffin of that? That's never going to happen now. People are going to go to work. Going to go to WWE, they'll put their gear on, they'll go do and say exactly everything that WWE tells them to do. They won't do anything outside the box unless you're an asset to the company like The Rock and you can get away with it. And Vince will shake your hand and say, well, that was fantastic, even though he would not give the same sort of leverage to...
Well, it kind of goes back to the whole, like, you remember a couple of weeks back, it's time to go off the script.
Yeah.
And loads of people were basically saying, like, the fuck?
Oh, believe me, if anyone else had done that, right, who was an asset to the company,
been murdered,
they would have been suspended too for unprofessional behaviour, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Even though it was clearly the right thing to do, that segment was enhanced because of what The Rock did, right? So, yeah, this is like, guys, I think this is a perfect example of the sort of company that WWE is growing into, and they're growing into an ultra corporate environment. You know, that's just the way it is. And they want to keep telling everyone, Matt, this is the reality era. Well, the reality is that WWE is a company I would not want to work for. That's just the bottom line of it. I would be scared of getting fucking suspended for breathing in that place. And they want people to be entertaining and come over larger than life. And yet when they arrive to the thing, they can't even grab someone's arm to speak to them. You know?
That's it.
And, like, I think this is a precedence, man. If this is someone that you think, oh, maybe he's got a history of, you know, being a dick and doing some stuff like this, Titus is an upstanding gentleman. We all know this, right?
Well, that's kind of the difficult thing, because those people are like, they're almost making like, oh, it's racist and all things like that. It's like, I don't think he could afford to do such a thing. Well, I don't think, not he could afford to do such a thing. I'm pretty sure he could afford to.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But with the I've lost my train of thought.
The media appearances and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you want to keep someone like that around. It's not like WWE would just go, nah, we don't need him. It's like, you kind of do. He gives a good name for the company.
Yeah, he's a fantastic ambassador for them. Absolutely.
That's the word, ambassador.
Yeah, like, how many charities things does he work with? Charity organisations. He comes out and does, you know, the Celebrity Dad of the Year. Man, WWE were licking his nuts to get that on. Right? Yet they had nothing to do with it. Right? That was all him. And like, this is just like, I'm like, you want to sing his praises when he does something, but as soon as he does something that you don't like, suddenly he's completely worthless to you. And I'm like, part of me wonders if he has done something before this to piss them off. Maybe we're not knowing about the full story because he lost this week on Raw. Maybe he did something extra to piss them off, and maybe as someone, because he looked like he was in line for a push.
Did he lose this week on Raw?
He did lose it. He lost to fucking Social Outcast. He lost to Adam Rose.
I forgot. To be fair, I skipped it.
Yeah. So like,
I probably should have watched it as a sign of things to come with like obviously everything that happened, because I knew about that before watching Raw.
Yeah.
I probably should have watched it. But I was just like, I have no interest in this match.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, yeah. I'm not going to lie and say, even though I like Titus as a person, I'm not exactly excited in his matches or anything like that, or the feuds he's been involved in. But, listen, Matt, what's even more bizarre about this, we all know what kind of person Titus O'Neil is. I think it's so ironic that he was fired for unprofessional reasons, yet he comes across like the most professional guy there. Like, he really does.
Yeah.
It's almost like you want to fire John Cena for not being charitable enough. It's like
fire John Cena for taking time away for doing Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, you want to fire, you want to fire the Undertaker because he doesn't give enough to the company. This sort of shit. It's like, what? What are you doing? Now I'm going to open this up and say maybe he has done something extra that we don't know of. But if they did, then WWE aren't telling us. So we can only go by what happened here. And all the reports I've heard is that it's just that. He misses WrestleMania, 60 days of work, which he was wrestling on Raw every week the last couple of weeks, right? So he was earning probably some decent money. And it's like, I kind of begin to explain how fucking stupid this is, Matt. Grabbing someone's arm. Jesus Christ. WWE. And I honestly think that all the people aren't asking the correct questions, or the people throwing the racial thing at WWE. I'm sure they loved it because then they can just deflect it. People should be asking questions about, well, please explain exactly why he was unprofessional, and then fight them on that front for him. But if I were Titus, I would give his mate Batista a ring, who he's very close friends with, and say, listen, mate, you got some stunt work going on some of your movies. Do you feel like putting my name in? I'll be more than happy to do it. Or maybe I can start getting into some movies. Yeah, he's not going to be a leading star like Batista. I'm not naive. But at very least then, when he works for
fair, it's not like Batista started out as leading star, so it's fine.
Yeah, like he can, like, what I'm saying is that when Titus goes to these movies and he works for them, he doesn't have to abide by these absolutely fucking stupidly strict and bonkers rule set that no one actually knows what the rules are, right? They just currently spring up out of nowhere every so often, It kind of makes me remind me of JTG's list of the things that you can get heat from. And I'm like, dude, you need a list of things you don't get heat for in WWE, because that's a shorter list. It really is.
It'd be easier to write.
Yeah. Fucking hell, Jesus, WWE. Sometimes they do things that I'm like, that is so fucking stupid. And you know what? I'll sing TNA's praises because you don't see them pulling this sort of shit off when they suspend someone. They released Awesome and Kong for the right reasons last week. They didn't suspend her for touching someone backstage on the wrist to get their attention or something like this, or grabbing someone to try and get their attention. You know what? We're going to stop now. I'm getting fucking annoyed. I really am. WWE is a player. People always ask me, would you love to book for WWE? And I've said along the lines of, well, no, because I don't think I would do that well. Surprising, even though I have my own ideas and stuff like this, and would I like to work for WWE? And I always said I don't know whether I would be good enough. Now my answer's changed. It's still no, but it's for a different reason, because of all the fucking reasons why you could randomly piss someone off. It would drive me mad. I would go insane working for WWE now. I would lose my mind. I really would. But talk about someone who did go crazy working for WWE and left. CM Punk. You like that? Do you like that transition?
That was very well done.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was quite good. He's got back surgery this week. It's penning back his UFC debut. I just wanted to leave a little note into this because, of course, we're going to be talking about CM Punk's first fight in UFC. The Eliminator fight for the guy that's going to fight him happened like 2 weeks ago, and they had a thing where Punk was like shaking his hand and they were setting everything up, and But obviously, it looks like that's not going to happen for a while.
Even though it looks like he's like set up to fight a 17-year-old.
Yeah, the guy looks very fucking young, doesn't he? And he's only got I think that fight that he had was his first fight in UFC.
Was that his first? I don't know.
I think he had one fight outside UFC, then he got picked to fight in UFC just for the chance of doing this.
Yeah.
He's clearly being set up as an opponent that CM Punk could at very least have a chance against, right? So that's all. I always said this, guys. He's not going to be fighting someone with 20 fights under their belt. He's going to be fighting a scrub, basically, which is what... I mean, this guy came out and basically said, look, I'm not that good, right? I'm not that great. I'm looking forward to his payday.
Feed me CM Punk.
Yeah.
For that bit made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, feed me the money. He's going to get a ton of money anyway, regardless. Whether or not how good he is or not, he'll get some money. But it looks like if CM Punk's going to be fighting, it's going to be in the latter half of this year. It depends on how well. I mean, back surgery can be complicated, but because you're dealing with the muscles around the spine and all that sort of shit. The back can be a very... if you fuck up your back for life, you're pretty much fucked. There's not much you can do. So, good luck CM Punk. I do hope he has a good showing at UFC. People may be thinking I don't want him to succeed. I want him to succeed, but it's like he doesn't need to. He's got plenty of money. And he's one of those guys like me who doesn't spend a lot of money living anyway. So,
well, it's like that whole, goes back to his Cabana interview. It's like, you can't live off that money. It's like, motherfucker, if you can't live off 20 million, then the hell.
Yeah, he could live off, fucking,
I think it's like Cole Cabana who said that he could live off $20 if he needed to.
Yeah, if he wanted. He's the kind of guy that doesn't really care, right? And especially with UFC, mate, he's going to have a lot more than 20 million in his bank account. He will be fine. CM Punk. Fan feedback now, Matt. Unless you've got any other nuggets of news for you now. I'm just looking at the timing here. We're going to have to go through our Raw review pretty
Not
quickly.
that I know of, no.
Yeah. All right, fan feedback then. If you guys want to leave any questions to us, you can leave them in the comment section below on our Facebook page or on the Twitter handle. All that juicy information is on that screen for you there, and it's in the description below as well. We start off with Zeo Cage, who asks, do we think Alex Riley's return might end up becoming the storyline we came up for Reigns? Remember that one I came up with Reigns target? I think it was last week we spoke about it. About him targeting the people that the fans had accepted because he was never accepted. That sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're WWE are running with a similar thought track with him. But I say, why not go for it? I think that's... If you're going to go with something that's quite unique. I mean, you've got Baron Corbin, who apparently hates indie talent, so, why not give Alex Riley the one, oh, these are the people that the company is getting behind, so I'll target them, and...
Yeah.
But the thing is with that as well, that you need him, you can't make him target people like Eva Marie, even though the company are clearly behind it. What I'm saying is the male equivalent. You need for him to target faces that the company are getting behind, that people are genuinely behind. So when I'm saying that, I mean the likes of, let's say he were on the main roster, he would be going after people like Dean Ambrose, that sort of stuff, right? The people who genuinely are over. In fact, Daniel Bryan would be the kind of people that he would be trying to go after. So, but NXT, I'm guessing, it'd be like Sami Zayn and shit like that. But I don't think he's ever going to be a big player, but why not? He also asks...
Riley,
yeah, he's going to be a bit part player. I said I like the guy. People may be thinking I'm expecting to get some big push. No, he's not going to the main roster. He'll always be on NXT, and he'll never be NXT champion. And he shouldn't be, because you've got Sami Zayn, Nakamura, Austin Aries, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe. Man, he's low on that totem pole, very fucking low. So... But I just mean that when I come out as an Alex Riley support, I think there's more they can do with him than they're currently doing. That's all. And his other question, Matt, is what is our opinions on moves being named after the wrestler, especially when it's not something they created themselves? So like the Swagger Bum. Swagger Bum? Yeah, he bums people. The Swagger Bum.
Just goes in with his ass.
The Swagger Bomb, the Emma Lock, and I think he made a reference to them calling Asuka's move the Asuka Lock.
Because it is called the Asuka Lock.
But it's not really. That's not the initial name of
They
the
call
move.
it the Asuka Lock.
Yeah, I know, but the actual move is called... That's what he's getting at. It's not a unique move they created themselves. I personally don't have a problem with it.
I don't mind it, mostly because it... Otherwise, it gets sort of complicated. It's to save the whole... I mean, I know a spinebuster's a spinebuster, but the moment somebody uses it as a finisher, it won't be called a spinebuster anymore.
It's linking someone to a finisher move. when someone doesn't have that, right? If someone doesn't have, even if it's just a basic move that isn't associated with them, they lose like a very big stopping point of their arsenal, right? And I know some people dislike it, but it's almost like the move, even though it wasn't theirs to begin with, it becomes theirs, right?
It gets a second life through them, sort of thing.
Yeah, just the way it is. I mean, you look at some people. I mean, Daniel Bryan, like he had the label lock, he just changed it to the yes and the no lock, respectively. Depends on his mood, right? No, it's fine. I mean, the way that wrestling's going nowadays, you need something. The more that's associated with you and makes people think of you, is the better. And you can't be going in, like, for instance, someone can't be doing the Stone Cold Stunner if someone started doing stunners, right?
Tell Mac that.
Yeah, he's different, you know. But like even John Cena doing his springboard stunner and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way it is. I don't know.
I don't have a problem with it. It kind of gives an extra like a life, and yeah, it does. It sort of it ends up getting the association.
Yeah. I mean, they do get lazy with it sometimes. Like the Ascalock, I think, is quite lazy. They could have called it, come up with a different name.
Or the Emma Lock.
With Emma, like everything was Emma name, so it was like the Emma Mite
sandwich.
You know, so back then it made a little bit more sense. But yeah, like you said, like the Swagger Bomb, the Batista Bomb. I did like it back in the days when they did come up with it, like the Tombstone Pile Driver. Like that came off like a real badass looking name, right? The Stone Cold Stunner. I know it's still
and it's the pedigree, not like the Hunter Hurt handle or something.
Yeah, Hurt handle. That's brilliant. I love that.
I had to think of something. I was like the Hunter Hurt. Something with an H.
I think we need to make a move now that Seth Rollins' pedigree is called the Pedigree, and we rename Triple H as the Hunter Hurt handle. That's brilliant. The Hunter. I'm going to call it that, Matt. Now you've done it.
I've changed it forever.
Changed it forever. Moving on. Kieran Lawler. I think this is his first question with us. If it is so, welcome to the podcast. If you have left one before, I'm forgetful. Everyone knows this. I love it that all the long-standing listeners of this show, whenever I do anything like I muck up someone's name or not even reference that someone's been left a question before, they're just like, it's just Tony. He does this shit now. They're all used to it, so they just accept it. But he asks, if we were setting up a promotion and could have 5 WWE guys, who would we sign to keep our promotion running? I thought this was an easy question. Absolutely. Easy. John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. And the reason why it's easy is because you pick who draws the most. If you're trying to keep a promotion running, you pick who puts asses in seats. My first pick would be John Cena. Absolutely. And then Brock Lesnar afterwards. But do you have any differences to that? I just thought.
Well, it's different. Like, I was kind of thinking along the lines of if I was to. Like, rather, that sounds like a very I'm going to compete with the WWE sort of.
Even then, like, you pick the biggest drawing guys, surely.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. I'm kind of thinking on sort of like, you remember when the president of New Japan got asked a very similar question, and he was like, "I would take Cesaro and Ziggler."
Yeah.
Like I was sort of taking it in that sort of track.
Ah, okay. Well, I'll probably try and nick their young talent in that case. I probably wouldn't go Balor because I don't think it's tons of years on his face. I would try and get Seth Rollins.
He's not young talent anymore. That's kind of the problem with Balor. If those people like, he's great, and I love the fact that he's now around, and we are like, you know that I am, and we both are massive Balor fans. He's not young talent.
Yeah. I'd still go for Seth Rollins, though, absolutely. I'd try and make him the centerpiece of my show if that was the case. But there's a few other guys like Kevin Owens. Easy, I'll try and get him and make him the all-star heel on my roster. Like,
I'd make Cesaro my face champion, and like Owens my heel.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff you could do there. It depends on what promotion you're running. I just took it as if you're doing any promotion, you had any right, and there wasn't any financial restrictions there, you go for the 5 biggest drawers of them. And whether or not those 5 I picked are the same, but even then they're still decent for them. There isn't many big drawers for WWE anymore. It's basically Roman Reigns because they've positioned him that way.
Roman Reigns isn't a draw, though. I think the one thing that WWE seem to forget is the fact that, like, we don't have a big star anymore. Like, WWE are in that situation where it's not the single star is the draw. Like, we're past the days where we had, like, Rock and Austin. The brand is the draw now.
Yeah, WWE itself is what... I mean, there is big difference when they have John Cena on the show and when they don't. I mean, like, when they do live shows, it does a lot better when they've got John Cena on them, of course. But back then, WWE will draw like a baseline now, and it's a lot higher than what they would have done 20 years ago, right?
That's it. Well, what was it I heard it on? Like, somebody made, like, that sort of reference, but it's like, you used to have Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik, and that used to be like the sign on the marquee.
And you have WWE just like little.
And now it's
logo,
just
yeah.
WWE.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's just the way it's. I mean, WWE have done it specifically so they don't have another WCW problem on their hands, because they almost fucking died because they built up all these stars as the big marquee names, and then WCW nicked them all. You know, they gave them better contracts.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Vince looks at that and is like, okay, no more of that. I'm making the company the vocal point here. So that they do it for a very specific reason. And to be honest, if I was owning a company, I probably would do the same. But still. Jesse Booth says there are bigger problems than a WrestleMania entrance for the New Day. They don't have any rivalry heading into WrestleMania. We're only having a laugh about that, mate. Honestly, we're just kind of going on a tangent. But your point is valid. That's the reason why I wanted to bring it up. I think it's a shame that WWE, and I'm pointing this out here, and if you've never noticed it before, you're about to. When it comes to WrestleMania season, they tend just to go, okay, all the teams in a multi-match. There you go.
Yeah.
That's normally what they tend to do.
That's what happened last year.
Yeah. Last year was the same, and it's not been the first time they've done it. They've done it, you know, I think they even did it on like the pre-show a bunch of times as well, the tag team championships, right? So it's something.
Wasn't that match on the pre-show?
Was it? I think it was.
Last year. I'm pretty sure it was on the pre-show.
I think you're right, yeah, I think you're right. But I think even at WrestleMania 30 they did the same, right? They had the tag team match on the pre-show. I don't know, because I think the Usos were champion. Because it was odd that the Shield had their match, remember, which lasted like all of like 2 minutes, which was a 6-man tag match. But it is a shame, and I honestly would like it if they had built up more of an actual program, built up a team, like almost the way NXT are doing it, where they're giving Gable and Jordan tons and tons of victories, but keeping them as far away as the champions as they can. So eventually, down the line for a big event, we're going to see Gable and Jordan against the champions, and they will be
at Dallas.
Yeah. So the way they've done that is fine. That's exactly how you should do it. You build up a team on the side.
And the thing is, I've just said that as like a speculation, but I actually do reckon we're going to see them take the titles at Dallas.
Yeah, unless they want to go Enzo again and Cass, but I think that's really a wrong move right there. I think that.
I think it's now past the point of Enzo and Cass getting the belts. I would just throw Enzo and Cass to the main roster.
Funny enough, that actually answers a question a little bit later on this segment that we're doing here. So yeah, I have the same thing. In fact, I'll skip forward a bit and we'll do that one now. So.
Seeing as we've touched on it.
Jamie G asks, what NXT talent do we see debuting on the main roster soon or after WrestleMania? Now, I don't think we're going to see any NXT call-ups before Mania. All of them will happen after WrestleMania. That's my firm belief.
As is the tradition.
I think there'll be one on the day after WrestleMania. I'm sure Enzo or Cass are coming. I am, touching what we just said there before. I think they've outgrown NXT in a way. They've done everything they can do. People might say, "Oh, but they haven't been tag team champions yet." They're one of those teams that don't need to be tag team champions, and they already their ideal way of winning it was back at London, and they didn't. Right? Well, fuck it. I'll go even back then. They should have been in the title match at Brooklyn and won it there, but they weren't even in that match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think they're coming up. I think they're kind of wasting time at the moment, if I'm honest, on NXT. I think Samoa Joe has a good chance of going up. I also think Sami Zayn. I think it's only a matter of time. I don't think that their idea for him is to become champion again and head NXT. I think eventually they will put him up there because they've got a ready-made rivalry with Kevin Owens up there for him anyway, whenever it's ready. So, yeah. Yeah. In fact, if you're going to put a gun to my head and say, pick one that would definitely come out before WrestleMania, Sami Zayn would be that one. But I don't think he is. I think it'll be after WrestleMania that he comes up.
That's it.
So
I can't argue with any of those points.
Yeah.
I don't think... I'm still in that sort of when's Balor coming?
See, the more and longer that
Or
Balor
Bayley.
stays...
When's Bayley coming? And we had Sasha Banks wearing Bayley merch this week.
The way that I look at it, though, is that Bayley and Balor, they are like the figureheads of NXT now. They've been champions for so long that I think they've still got a good reign left in them, right? I think they still got time, and I think WWE looks at them as like the cornerstones. So taking one of them out is going to be a lot more of a reshuffle than it would be just taking up Samoa Joe or Sami Zayn or Enzo and Cass. I think you could take them up, and NXT still runs pretty well. So
yeah,
there we are. Okay, Kyler's 2000 asks, what 5 wrestlers do we want WWE to sign? I think we've answered this a lot recently, but my answer right now is changed from probably what it was back then. My answer is no one. And that may be a bit of a shock, but my answer is no one, because they've signed a lot of big indie talent recently in Nakamura, Styles. They signed Samoa Joe, not as recently, but still.
Austin Aries,
Carl Anderson, Gallows are coming. It's confirmed they are coming. It's just a matter of time. So if WWE sign too many of them, they can't do right by them all. So no, I don't think they should sign anyone. That's my bottom line of it.
Yeah.
Do well by what you've got at the moment. Then think about other guys you can bring in later on. They've got enough new talent coming in to deal with. Then just bringing in more. Wardy96 brings up the obligatory Cruiserweight Championship question, asking our thoughts on having it to help Neville, Breeze, Sin Cara, Fandango, and etc. Now, we have answered this question a lot. In fact, if there's one question that we've answered the most, it's the Cruiserweight Championship question. I'll just echo it quickly here, Matt, and then we'll move on. I'm not a fan of it, but if they are going to do it, then they need to get rid of the IC or United States Championship.
Yeah.
Just adding a championship on there, to me, I just think this doesn't do any... They need to replace a championship with the Cruiserweight Championship. But even then, my general thought of it, and it hasn't changed, I don't like those stars being penciled in as just cruiserweights. I think it goes to the general public perception of them. But I can firmly understand why other people think otherwise, but... Don't want to spend too much time on that because we have answered.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to spend too much time on it either. But if we had a cruiserweight title, like Daniel Bryan wouldn't have been world heavyweight champion.
You really think that? Yeah. If that.
I wouldn't say I really think that. I think it would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's that sort of thing. He could have just stayed in the cruiserweight division because that's where the little people play and the big boys go for the proper title.
Yeah, that's just the way I look at it. I think it's too risky that you could have a guy that could be a potential big star for them, but he gets shoehorned and labelled as something, and he never ends up overcoming that. That's what my problem is with it, but still. Axel Diaz says, with NXT, this is a doozy. This is a good question, actually. Says, with NXT TakeOver Dallas looking like a better card than WrestleMania, how would it affect WWE? And that's completely right. I actually think the card for Dallas far outdoes the card for WrestleMania.
Have they even announced the card for Dallas?
There is a kind of a mock-up of it. You've got Zayn Nakamura. You've got Balor and Joe. You've got Asuka, Bayley. I think you've got Gable, Jordan for the tag team titles. When you even look at that, it's like, oh, you've got Balor. No, sorry, not Balor. Corbin and Aries there as well. So it's like...
Is that a speculated match? That's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's quite... that card there, I'm much more interested in that than...
Has some strength in it, yeah.
That's a strong-ass card right there. You're asking how would it affect WWE? I don't think it will affect them that much. They will look at it as a win because ultimately people are going to want to watch that, which means they have to buy the network. And that's money in WWE's pocket. I don't think it's going to force them to change anything on the main roster. I think they're going to look at this year at WrestleMania as being the mania that injuries got in their way of having a really, truly great card. That's just my opinion. So.
All it means is I'm going to be watching a lot of wrestling that weekend.
Oh, WrestleMania week for you and me, Matt, is...
crazy.
It's crazy. I will... That week, last year, I watched about 15 hours of wrestling in a week. because I watched the 2 hours of the pre-show. I watched Raw, WrestleMania, so that's 6 hours already. You've got 2 hours of Dallas. That's 8. I watched the Hall of Fame ceremony. That's 3 hours, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Then you've got Raw, both Raws that week. You can see how it suddenly starts to rack up. So, yeah, it's going to be... Whew! It's going to be a long, long week. I know, Matt, I've got to do a video on Lucha Underground that week too. So,
I think I might have to book that week off.
yeah, I might have to start making plans for it now, actually, thinking of that, because it's going to be a fuck ton of wrestling to watch. But we do it for you guys because we do enjoy it. And, you know, WrestleMania season's always quite fun.
It's not like we do it because we just enjoy doing the podcast. We enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
We do moan about it a lot, but it's kind of like the bickering wife that we have, you know. So we love them, but sometimes we do have to point out their obvious flaws, you know. That makes me sound like such an awful husband. I don't treat it like my wife. I just tell her she's amazing every day, because a happy wife leads to a happy family. That's what I was always told. And guess what? It fucking works. So there you are. Yeah, there you are.
Well, that, or she's the sort to smother you in your sleep.
Maybe, but you know what? I'll be dead, so who gives a fuck then, right? You know? Wow, this got dark all of a sudden, didn't it?
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. We all know you and your dirty rag and your chloroform and stuff like that, so... Yeah. I haven't forgotten, Matt. I go back and listen to the fucking, montage clip that I did for episode, the 2-year anniversary, and that's the bit that cracks me up every single time. What are the clips we're going to use for the next one? Don't know. But it's going to be good anyway. It's going to be fun. To think that's going to be 3 years, Matt. Fucking hell.
It's crazy.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's our report. Not a report card. Getting a bit ahead of myself. That is our fan feedback. If you did enjoy fan feedback, then you can leave questions. You can be part of the show. Leave them in the comment section below on our Facebook page or on our Twitter handle. And you can be on here on this show. I tell you what, even if you guys want to have audio questions on this, I'm up for that as well. What I might start doing is I might start putting every week. I've been kind of lax doing it, I will say, but I'll put our email address, and it's on our YouTube about page anyway. But if you want to send us like any audio files, ask us audio questions, crack on. I'll put that in. I've got no problem doing that. You wouldn't have a problem, would you, Matt?
None at all.
None at all. It'd be fun. So there you go. You can be then one of the only voices on this show. It'd be quite a lot of fun, wouldn't it? Imagine to be the first person to do that. It'd be a lot of fun. NXT report card. We are going to be reporting on the NXT Women's Champion, Bayley. We haven't spoken about a lot on this report card because oftentimes we talk about the ones that need a bit of help, Matt, don't we? We talk about the ones that maybe need a little bit of criticism. Bayley isn't one of those people.
No.
We're going to be singing this woman's praises pretty fucking high.
Hey, we want some Bayley.
She's our girl, Matt.
She is our girl.
She is our
She
girl.
is London's girl.
She's London's. No one else is. Bayley, Matt. One of the reasons why I want to bring her up, Matt. During her match with Carmella this week, which was decent, she has what I like to call the Bret Hart factor. And that's something that I've said about a few people. I said that Seth Rollins has got the Bret Hart factor. And what I mean by that, you've got the Bret Hart factor when you can have great matches with different people of different sizes, of different styles. Right? Basically, you can have a great match with anyone. Right? Depending on, like, not even if they're of a good skill set. Right? You can still have a decent match with them. Bayley is becoming a champion where she is becoming the Bret Hart champion, where she can wrestle anyone and make them look brilliant, right? And it's really coming off that way, you know. Listen, like let me try and explain a little bit more. Bret Hart used to be that good in his heyday that when he would wrestle someone like a green as grass goose shit new guy who didn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch, he could make them look like a 5-star talent. So much so that I've heard tons of stories about, and I know you've heard the same, of when he's wrestled someone in his early career, they look at the other guy and think, well, we're on something here. This guy's fantastic. And then when he wrestles someone else, they're like, he's shit.
The hell happened?
What the fucking hell happened? And then suddenly they started to realise, oh, it's Bret. Bret's the one that's doing this. He's making all these guys who are fucking cack, making them look like world-class wrestlers. And, like, it was like dark magic. Like, no one knew how he could do it, but he could. And when I think of Bayley, she worked with Eva Marie and delivered a fucking great match with Eva Marie. That in itself should give you some props right there. She worked with a green Nia Jax. Nia Jax is still green, right? And had a great match with her that told a fantastic story. Yeah? She's working with Carmella here, who's a much smaller, slimmer girl. Had a great match. Still told a good story. And she's working with all these different people, Matt, and having exemplary matches. She's got the Bret Hart factor. There's absolutely no question in that. What do you feel about her? Do you think that's on point, or do you think I'm singing her praises too much?
I could completely agree.
Yeah.
And then you've sort of got, like, you've had, like, Brooklyn and their sort of Iron Woman match. And they were great. And it was almost like sort of Bret had found Shawn, Bayley had found Sasha.
Yeah.
And, Bayley's great. We love Bayley.
Yeah. She's fantastic. She's like one person that's grown into that championship spectacularly, right? And she comes across as this world-class star. And like I said, she's making some of these other women look legitimate, right? Like, she's getting so good now that she is literally rubbing off on other people, right? I think that she is so innately talented. I want to give this woman all the props in the world. She's one of the few people in WWE in this extremely corporate environment that we just spoke about that comes off 100% genuine. She comes off like she is who she is, and therefore you want to get behind her, right? I think she's gonna be a big draw for WWE when she gets called up to the main roster eventually. I think she's gonna sell fucking buck tons of t-shirts. I think she's gonna be a huge star. One maybe downer point is I don't ever think she's gonna recapture the same magic that she had with Sasha in those two matches. I honestly think that is their magnum opus. That is their masterpiece.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not even saying that badly, because that match was damn near perfect, those two matches that she had. But it's a little bit like you kind of hoping that there's another one, that she's got another masterpiece left in there for her.
Yeah.
And clearly she's good enough. She just needs someone on the same level with the same storyline, with the crowd behind them. They need all the factors going for them to be able to top what they've already done. But yeah, man, I can't sing her praises more than enough. I think she's obviously she's an exemplary pro wrestler, and I think that she's got that Bret Hart factor that I think only other few people have. I think Daniel Bryan had some of it to a degree.
Yep.
I think Seth Rollins has got the Bret Hart factor, where he has matches with people and makes them look good. Makes them look like a star, and he's so talented as well. But yeah, props to Bayley, Matt. I want to give her an extra high mark. I would give her an A star, but I don't think that does anything. I'm giving her an A star.
A star.
Yeah, a double star. I think she is a great example of how WWE can get someone right and how they can give someone the tools to become great. Because she learned all that in WWE's Performance Center, right? She became great under their umbrella. You have to give WWE some praise in this. Ultimately, it's hers, of course, but it's a great example, I think, of if someone dedicates themselves and has the desire and is willing to take the hits, willing to work hard over a long span of time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the one thing also is the fact that all they've got to do is, like, they get a big package going on, and, like, similar to sort of like with her and Sasha, where they were doing the whole, like, when she was reading the story when she was, like, the letter when she was like 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, you've got someone who's so genuine that it would be... Yeah, I mean, who's so genuine in, like, her ambitions and who she is, and all of the success that's come from being under the WWE marquee.
Yeah.
It'd be a waste for WWE just to come along and go, yeah.
Yeah, it really would.
Ruin her, sort of thing.
I tell you one thing that I think is quite equal, that maybe does differentiate herself and maybe Sasha to a certain extent. they grew up and they have like fucking proof that as a young age they wanted to become wrestlers. They wanted to become world champions. Bayley, I mean, what famously, like in the video packages, it's her reading out something that she said at like the age of like 8 or whatever, and it's her
Something
saying,
like that.
"I want to be a women's champion. I want to wrestle." Blah 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 blah. Sasha had the same thing. She wanted to become a pro wrestler, and with that desire that you come and follow it through, it's a sort of desire. People can get good without that desire, but I tell you what, it fucking helps, right? It helps that for you to have to go in the grind, work every day.
I feel terrible to suggest it's like, well, I mean, yeah, that's true. Look at Charlotte. It's like someone who has actively said, like, I never, it was my brother's dream sort of thing. It wasn't my own.
Yeah. I don't think that Charlotte grew up wanting to be a wrestler. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I think she had different aspirations at some point. She got into it because, maybe things weren't working out somewhere else or along those lines. And some people can get into it late and they can get good. I'm not saying that's the case, but when you've got someone at a young age that is so determined to become something and they work hard, I think Bayley's a good example of what you can accomplish if you do that.
Yeah,
exemplary wrestler, guys. One of the best female talents they've ever had in that company. And in terms of wrestling, she is in a pantheon, right? In how good she is, and it's kind of a shock then how good she is. She hasn't been allowed on the main roster. I don't want it anywhere fucking close. I wanted to stay in NXT and keep proving to everyone that she's a legendary figure. Like she can make herself
at least until sort of Sasha, Becky and Charlotte can fix the main roster.
Yeah, until things start going for the better. Which I think we're making strides.
Oh yeah, we're definitely on the way. I think Mania will be the true turning point.
You reckon? I think there's a good chance of that too. It's a good time to be optimistic. I know the Divas Revolution was not what everyone hoped it to be, but funny enough, you haven't heard those words by WWE in a long time. It looks like they finally got it that they need to actually have a revolution first before they start talking about the Divas Revolution. So, that's the case there. But fingers crossed. I don't know, Matt. You may have been burned about the women time and time again, so maybe we shouldn't get our hopes up too much about WrestleMania.
That's true.
We'll see what happens there. Okay, Raw review. We're still a couple of weeks from WWE Fastlane. We've only got about half an hour to review this, by the way. But that should be enough. Should be more than fine. Even though most of our Raw reviews normally go on for about an hour. So we might have to rush it towards the end if we get to that point. We're still a couple of weeks away from WWE Fastlane. That's right, I have to say WWE Fastlane. Because I noticed, Matt, I did some research. If you go on WWE.com now, there's only 3 pay-per-views that WWE feel the need to put their fucking initials before it. And this is one of them. You've got WWE Payback, and I think there's another one. Why they do it? I think it's because they're not confident enough of the name itself selling that well, so they have to put their name in front of it. Stuff
Probably.
like WrestleMania, that's going to sell. Royal Rumble, that's going to sell. They're probably using why they're saying WWE Fastlane. Either that or it's some sort of weird corporate fucking decision down the line. But that's the only thing I can come up with. That's what I initially thought. But it's weird that they do it anyway, though, isn't it? That they keep saying, it's not Fastlane, Matt, it's WWE Fastlane. And they keep saying it over and over and over and over again. So I checked up. Yeah, there's only 3 pay-per-views. I don't know what the other one is, but the other one's Payback. So, maybe. I don't know. If you guys got any other thoughts or any other reasons, I'd love to hear it. Or the other reason I thought, Matt, that I did come up with, is that it might be, just the name by itself might be inflicting on a trademark. So by putting WWE in front of it, maybe is a way of getting sidestepping away from it. But I don't know. I don't know whether that's the case. Everyone wants to hear from Daniel Bryan at the start of this show, but of course we get Stephanie McMahon. So not exactly very popular is McMahon. Cheers of Daniel Bryan are drowning her out. I wonder how much she wanted just to say, well, he's just a B+ player anyway, but the whole B+ thing. Now, in fact, Matt, that kind of annoys me that throughout Daniel Bryan, he never got to a point in his storyline with the Authority that they never just finally accepted, okay, you're a star, we get it, you're an A+ player, fair enough, whatever, you proved
just to
yourself.
Finally, yeah.
You never got that. Even when you won the championship, they were still like, oh, you're a B+ player, and I'm like, kind of sucks. Stephanie babbles on, but Ambrose comes out to save our graces. Ambrose doesn't have time for Stephanie's shit, and he immediately, right from the beginning, he calls out Brock Lesnar. Now, the Ambrose-Lesnar thing is something that I'm going to be talking about a lot in this review. because of the plans for WrestleMania. But I'll get into that.
Well, it plays a big part in it in all of Raw.
It does, yeah. But what I'm saying, Matt, is that I think that WWE are building up to something when they've got a very clear match that I think makes a lot of sense, and they're not going to book it. But I'll get to it in a minute. Reigns comes down to the ring. He's bigging up Ambrose fighting Lesnar. And throughout this show, fuck it, I'll go into it now, because otherwise I'll be building up too much and maybe I might miss the point. So throughout the course of this show, it's Ambrose versus Lesnar. There's a huge point of Ambrose calling out Brock Lesnar. And I know that Ambrose and Brock Lesnar are not winning at Fastlane. That is Roman Reigns' match to win. He will be winning the championship at WrestleMania. It is happening. So instead of having the Wyatts go after Brock Lesnar and have that match, which I think, Matt, not a lot of people are interested in, let's be honest. I thought, with this rivalry that seems to be kind of mini building up, that it looks like it's going to drop out of nowhere, why not have Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar in a hardcore match at WrestleMania? Because then it's in Ambrose's territory, right? In a match against them, even with the story they're telling, and I agree with the way they're doing it, Ambrose just wouldn't last in a match with Brock Lesnar. Eventually, he would break him down. But in a hardcore match, that's Ambrose's playground, right?
It almost levels the playing field, I suppose. Yeah.
It does a bit, yeah. I would be a lot more interested in seeing that match than I would Ambrose doing whatever, which looks like random nothing, and Lesnar against the Wyatt family, would you? Because I've never been fully sold on the Wyatts against Lesnar. I know it's happening, but I've never been sold on it. Would you rather Ambrose? I'm not even saying it has to be for the championship, because he is IC champion, even though it's been forgotten a lot. But what do you think?
It definitely wouldn't be for the championship.
Yeah. You know,
I think it'd be a very crazy, messed up world if we saw like Lesnar come out with the IC belt.
Man, wouldn't that be topsy-turvy right there, yeah. But wouldn't you rather have that, though? And that would be an entertaining match. And I know Ambrose will do all the bumps, he'll take all the damage for Lesnar. Lesnar, by the way, will take hits. People seem to don't think that he doesn't want to sell for people. He will sell for you. He'll take a couple of big hits. I think that could be a great match. And hell, man, if they want to go the extra thing, if they decide, you know what, maybe Reigns isn't exactly working, let's give Ambrose a win over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Let's elevate him to superstardom. Let's do it. Let's finally give him the chance and make the fans want him as their main guy. And then we can turn Reigns at a later date, and then you've got a made rivalry there for the championship, Ambrose and Reigns, with Ambrose being this big face. Now, people may disagree. They may say, well, we need Lesnar to win because at this point he would have lost 3 matches back to back: the Rumble, Fastlane, and WrestleMania, which I agree is not how you should be booking Brock Lesnar. But still, if WWE in the business of creating new stars, I think they should look at Dean Ambrose and say, well, he's always been over, and we haven't even really done much with him, right?
No. All we've done is just call him the lunatic fringe.
Yeah. And people are behind him. People like Dean Ambrose. People want to see him succeed. So if that is the case there, maybe that's part of the thing that they're looking for. Moving into this the rest of this promo, though, it is a contract signing. So you've got Lesnar coming out. They all sign the contract. You've got Paul Heyman speaking on the microphone, which is I call him now the wrestling poet that we don't truly deserve. Yeah. You know, it's the one.
The other one thing I loved is especially it's like when you had Stephanie, just like, Paul, shut up. We know who you are. Like we don't even need you out here. We need your beast.
I know, but the booze, Matt, when she's
booze.
She's getting a lot of heat, by the way. But the thing is, right, when Stephanie is talking him down and stuff, she's getting heat, and a lot of people might argue with me. So, well, she is a heel. She needs to get heat. My problem with Steph doing that, though, Matt, is that I'm not confident enough that WWE will use someone to capitalize off of Stephanie's heat. It doesn't happen that. The last person that really did it was Vicky Guerrero. The last person to teach Stephanie McMahon a lesson was Vicky Guerrero. When she left. How long has Vicky been away? I mean, we're talking about 2 years now, probably?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, quite easily.
So, yeah, I'm like...
The hog pen match.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the hog pen match. It was the swimming pool of chocolates. Yeah.
Yeah. But Matt, even then, right? Even then, arguably, that wasn't the greatest decision because, I mean, Vicky was leaving. That was the ending thing for her.
Yeah.
Stephanie should be using this heat for someone else to get over, but it never happens. I'm all for heels getting heat, but it has to be an end game. Someone has to capitalize off it at the end.
Someone has to get something out of it.
Yeah. Vince McMahon, you can say all the things you hate about him, and we were talking a lot of smack about him earlier on in the show. But when he was a heel to get Austin over as a bigger face. That was his role, right? He used to get mad. The stuff that Austin did to him on a weekly basis, the stuff that DX did to him on a weekly basis when they came back in 2006 and all that sort of stuff. You know, like, there's not enough of that happens to Steph. She doesn't get her comeuppance nearly enough. It's almost like a 98-2 fucking weight balance here of how often she gets back on her, and that's completely off. So, but still, they all sign the contract, and Lesnar leaves with the assumption where he's like, you know what, I'm just kind of sick of you guys. F5s at Ambrose and throws a table at Reigns, and that's my general thoughts on that. Triple H comes out afterwards and just kind of smiles at everyone. I thought it was a decent opening segment, mainly because it was the teasing of Ambrose versus Lesnar, which I know we're not getting, but it's an interesting prospect nonetheless. WWE is showing a bunch of footage of Daniel Bryan. They showed Daniel's first match against Chris Jericho in NXT. I actually forgot initially that his first match was actually...
That was such a great match as well.
It was... Oh, man, that match was great. Yeah, it really was. I do urge everyone to go and read his new book. The reason being is because he talks about his NXT days a lot. He actually goes in a lot of in-depth talking about the NXT time that he spent there, which you think will be something that he might want to mull over. But he doesn't. He goes into great depth over that time and the way he was there. But, yeah, good stuff. Ambrose is seething backstage. He wants Lesnar. And that's basically it. Nothing else to say there. By the way, that big talk and rant about Dean Ambrose and all that things that the WWE should do with him, that was just like gradual notes that I built up over the course of my notes. I just condensed it into one big thing at the start of the show there. Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. A rematch of the rematch of the rematch from last week, or at least, Matt, that's kind of how it feels at this point. It's a little bit Del Rio Kalisto feeling. I know they may have only had 2 matches against each other, but it just feels like they've been wrestling each other a lot. An okay match. Ziggler wins by using the ropes on Owens, despite the fact that both guys were rubbing up on the ropes, so it was a clear invalid pinfall, but still, whatever. 2 wins in 2 for Ziggler. I don't mind Owens losing these matches, Matt, as long as there's an end game. Like Owens becoming dangerously unhinged or something like this.
Well, it's Owens Ziggler at Fastlane.
Is it? Again, jeez. They don't know how to save a match anymore, do they really? They're just like...
I think it's the rubber match. No, it wouldn't be the rubber match, would it?
Well, no, it wouldn't be, because he's like Ziggler's won both matches. He won 2.
Yeah.
So technically, there's no reason to have a rubber match.
Mm.
There's booking for you. They show clips from Bryan's United States title victory over The Miz. I remember being quite excited for Bryan after that match of him winning the championship, and being like, okay, this guy could be something here. You know, I wonder what they're going to next. And then he moved into that love quadrangle with Gail Kim and the Bellas.
Oh, God, yeah. I like how they forgot to mention that completely.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was a point in Bryan's career where WWE didn't know what they had in him. They didn't know how good he was. So they just put him in this love quadrangle thing, which kind of...
Well, they just kept him going as the world's strongest vegan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at very least, maybe he looks fondly back at that, because obviously that's when he started working closely with Brie. So... there is that. Dudleys are backstage with the Usos. The Dudleys want in on a tables match. That is the main event.
Can't have a tables match without the Dudleys.
That's right, that's right. And the Usos are like, yeah, fair enough, as long as we can get approval for it. And I'm like, finally, someone is saying that they're not just acting as if the entire roster has magical booking powers. They're just like, yeah, sure, you come into my match. Don't need to ask anyone about that. But they did add that in a little bit. It's like, oh, we'll get approval about it and we'll see what happens. So, fair enough. Charlotte versus Alicia Fox. I thought this was a decent match, Matt. I thought this was all right. I've always been a fan of Alicia Fox. I thought...
Yeah, you kind of forget about it, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Just like, I quite like Alicia Fox. Like, I remember that before, we've, like, commended her Northern Lights suplex.
Oh, she's got the prettiest
so
one,
much.
yeah. But
she has a great Northern Lights suplex. We just tend to forget about it because she's too busy fucking around with the Bellas.
Yeah, and she doesn't have that many matches. Let's be honest. She'll wrestle once, and you won't see her again for about 2 months on Raw. So, she pulled off a tilt-a-well backbreaker here. It was good to see some different moves in a Divas match. You don't often see a tilt-a-well backbreaker in a fucking Divas match. So
that's true.
Fair play. But yeah, Fox, I think she's one of those people, Matt. It's a little bit unfortunate that she's talented, she's good, but it's just one of those things where she came in at the wrong time, maybe. And
does it not make you a bit annoyed though? Because you got to think that she's technically a veteran.
She is, yeah, multi-year veteran, Matt. How long she's been there? She's been there for ages, Matt. I remember her like winning the championship of like Eve Torres and shit like that. Oh, fucking hell. Is that a long time since Eve Torres has been in the company? But
yeah.
Charlotte's spear, however, in this match, as much as I say I enjoyed this match, her spear was fucking shit, and she needs to amend it. She needs to start connecting with her shoulder and not her wrists. Like, it's getting to that point where she's basically clotheslining the gut of someone. A spear is supposed to be with your shoulder, love. Right,
yeah,
so
it's a tackle.
Yeah, at this point, it's not a spear, and she's going yeah. Afterwards, I'm like, you barely fucking touched her. Like, she start connecting with that a little bit more.
Clothesline to the belly.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, right? She wins with the figure 8, and I'm like, fair enough, because like she lost to Brie Bella. She's having that championship match. I was never a fan of her. Like,
well, yeah, like she's got to beat her
associate and
yeah, like. Obviously, the Bellas are like the only team that still go with the team.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Which I don't really care about them anyway, so yeah, it's fine. But
exactly.
Still, Miz TV. Yes, Miz TV keeps getting booked over and over and over again. Miz is pissed that Styles beat him up last week and he had his teeth knocked out. I mean, legit knocked out.
Yep.
But he is soon interrupted, Matt, by shirtless stripper Chris Jericho. That's his new gimmick, by the way. I'm sure at this point, Jericho's probably gunning for a slot in Magic Mike. And people might scoff at that, but guys, you forget, Kevin Nash is a stripper in that movie. If Kevin Nash can do it, then Jericho can do it. You know, boing, doing, doing, doing. You know, as he's going like, yeah,
You clearly have seen Magic Mike.
My wife is obsessed with the movie. I haven't watched it myself, but she's fucking obsessed. So, but Channing Tatum naked, like basically, if a woman didn't like that, I'd think something was wrong with them. That's the way it is. You may be thinking, oh, what? You can let your woman like go over another man like that? Me and her do that the same with other women. Like, we don't care. Like,
it's fine.
I always find people are like, oh, are you worried about your woman like looking at other men? I'm like, no, because I know she won't do anything because I'm confident in my marriage. I mean, like, it's a fucking celebrity. If she had a chance to sleep with Channing Tatum, I'd say fucking go for it. That's what I would say. Like, at the end of the day, it's like that celebrity lists. Do you have one with your other half, Matt? We're going on a tangent.
I don't think I have actually.
I have a few that I'm allowed. Mandy Moore being one of them, which I'm sure it was.
What do you mean being one of them? Being the only one of them?
I think there's another one that I said. I can't remember because basically it's Mandy Moore.
Because it doesn't matter because until it's Mandy Moore, it counts for nothing.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So there we are. Wow, tangent. However, I would not allow her to sleep with Jericho. He's not nearly stripper enough to pull that off. So there is that. Jericho tells The Miz to shut the hell up, as he does. And he says, you know what, everyone wants to see the highlight reel. And a Battle of the Talk Shows match just doesn't have the same impact without the Piper's Pit being involved, and that just made me sad. So, I miss you, Roddy Piper.
Just Edge turns up out of nowhere.
yeah, let's do the cutting edge. I will say, though, I thought it was quite funny as I did laugh as the roadies come in. And, like, in the space of about 20 seconds, everything is out of the ring. Literally, in 20 seconds, they changed the entire setup of the ring. And I'm like, that is fucking stellar work, lads. I wanted to give them a round of applause. I was like, that was fun. That's pit stop like shit. Well done. That's quick. So everyone give the WWE workers some props for that. Then they basically go in a back and forth match about who is the worse off for going against AJ Styles, and Jericho just basically admits, yeah, you know what, I'm still kind of pissed off that I lost to AJ. And I like this dynamic, Matt, because they're talking about AJ Styles a lot, like he's a hot commodity. These two guys are talking about them wanting to beat Styles, right? They're basically fighting each other to even get a shot at AJ Styles. It makes him look like a big deal, right? It makes him look like, man, these guys are tripping over themselves just to get another shot at AJ Styles, right? So it makes him look
Which is good, like they should do.
They should do. That's exactly right. Styles comes out, it distracts Jericho for Miz to attack, but Styles comes in for the save. He keeps coming in, the Miz, but he keeps getting knocked out. And this segment was only good because the Miz TV part of it didn't last that very long. He got switched over. Maybe we need to get those guys a raise that switched it from Miz TV to something else and just get them to come out. As soon as Miz starts, we give them a ton of money, they just go out and just fucking remove everything, so you can't do the segment anymore. That would be the best way to go about it. They are the heroes of the week. Sometimes we have heroes of the week. Those guys are heroes of the week. They did a stellar job right there. Ryback versus Bray. I think Styles and Jericho are wrestling at Fastlane, by the way.
I think it is going that way, yeah.
Because they wrestled again on SmackDown. That's another problem here. Like, I wouldn't have as much of a problem them doing a rematch of the first match. But at this point, like, Jericho and Styles on TV have wrestled each other twice, leading into another match of the pay-per-view. And they wonder why people don't care as much about these events, because we've already seen it.
The thing I find quite funny is, like, going on, like, with their fact they had their match on SmackDown, is the fact that Jericho went over.
Yeah.
But he's been getting loads of grief. Where it's just sort of like, oh, yeah, if I win, I'm burying talent. If I lose, I'm jobbing.
Yeah, some people just don't. Like, they don't understand that he needs that win in order to set up that third match. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm disagreeing with WWE just constantly giving us too many matches of the same ilk. Back then, you would build up a match at a pay-per-view, right? I mean, Jericho and Styles may have had their first match on a pay-per-view rather than having it, you know. That is my problem. If they are going to have 3 matches, then Jericho needs to win one of them.
Oh, do you know one thing I was really happy with this week?
Go on.
Was it this week?
I don't know. You tell me and I'll tell you.
But they showed Styles. I don't know whether it was actually on Raw.
What do you mean?
But he did the hand thing. He did the glove thing.
He did do the hand thing. Yeah, it wasn't really touched on or anything. But yeah,
he did it.
He did it though, yeah. After this is
highlight for me.
Yeah, he got so excited just seeing him, yeah.
Like, he has print on the inside of his gloves, and for 3 weeks he hasn't done it. Like, the hell?
We still haven't seen a Stars Clash on Raw yet, so there is that.
That's true.
Ryback versus Bray Wyatt is next. They aired a Ryback mini vignette early in the night. Yeah, he does look like exactly like Goldberg, and the Goldberg chants did start ringing out. But I mean, at this point, Matt, when he wears that, he's kind of asking for it, is he not? So I don't have much pity for the guy, shall we say? I thought this match was very quick. It wasn't long enough really to be called good or anything like that. Wyatt hits Sister Abigail from meat hook reversal and wins the match. So that video package earlier on building up Ryback was just to lose to Wyatt here. So good stuff there. And then afterwards, they collectively beat him down, and we get a little bit of Wyatt rambling. And basically what they're doing is that they're taking out big guys here, and I'm guessing it's going to lead to I'm guessing they're probably going to have like Big Show. Who else have they laid out? They're going to have Ryback, some other people they've laid out, and they're going to have like a multi-person tag match at Fastlane. Yeah. To basically waste time until they decide they want to go back after Lesnar again. So that's probably what they're doing here. After talking about the Ambrose stuff, that's not what I want, but that's probably what we're going to get. They show the footage of Team Hell No. Oh, God, yes. Did you notice, Matt, that Dr. Shelby put up a video congratulating Brian?
I did notice.
So that was good. You can go check that out on YouTube. This is some of the funny stuff you're ever going to see from Daniel Bryan. I'm absolutely sure of it. They had magic with Kane and Daniel Bryan. They booked that so well. The story that they told of these guys. And the vignette, the vignettes of them in the diner. Oh, God, that's just...
so good.
It's gold. It really is. It's just amazing. And
with Mae Young in it as well.
They're just hugely entertaining, Matt. I thought that Team Hell No was exactly what Bryan needed at that stage of his career, where it was clear that they didn't look at him as a world champion. He lost in like 8 seconds, remember, or 18 seconds at WrestleMania.
If that, yeah.
And being paired up with Kane gave him a different dynamic. And it showed that Bryan was a really good, like, anti-heel.
Comedy worker, yeah.
Like, he was a heel, but everyone loved him because he was so funny doing the things that he did. And the whole thing, I am the tag team champions, no, I am the tag... Fucking awesome stuff. They did, and they were a good tag team as well. I thought they did good work with each other. So,
well, and the fact that we got that hellacious TLC match.
Oh yeah, one of our matches of the year.
Out of Team Hell No.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Shield.
Them and Ryback against the Shield. So it's the only match of the year that Ryback's going to get anytime soon. So
yeah,
he at least got one. Big E is shining down, man. I'm going to go a bit dirty with this. Big E is shining down a table backstage, and he's singing a song about it. Now, this only makes me remember when I was a kid, in the middle of my discovering that women were the greatest thing in the world, and they had lots of things going on that I was very interested in, shall we say, and seeing Trish Stratus do the same thing, but in different lingerie. Yeah. You can still find that on YouTube, by the way. It's that is a lot more enticing, shall we say, than Big E doing exactly the same thing. But yeah, that was that got my heart pounding when I was a kid. I was like, "Whoa, hello, Trish! Instant erection. Good job, fantastic,
bravo."
But here, it wasn't an instant erection with Big E, but he eventually got there.
You did get boobies out of this promo.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so that's fine. People might be going, "Wait, you got an erection out of Big E?" I'm only joking, guys. Come on.
I was going to say, did you notice the calculator that they've got in trouble for?
Oh yeah. Renee Young shows up and she wants their thoughts on the 8-man tables match later on, but they reveal that they haven't found a partner yet. Kofi says that they're like the Denver Broncos because everyone likes a champion. Then Big E continues to sing about working on tables. So yeah, Big E is no Trish Stratus. Sorry, just isn't the case. Reigns speaks to Ambrose backstage. He wants them to go and get Lesnar together. Ambrose says, "Nope, I want him alone." Yet again, they're teasing the fucking Ambrose versus Lesnar shit, and it's not going to happen. But there we are. Talking about Titus O'Neil, his last match for a while against Adam Rose. Heath says when they come out, the Outcasts are going viral. Rose says that he is the radical mongoose, but Axel thinks it's awful, and Bo is just happy to have 3 best friends. I was like, oh, bless him. Bless him.
Oh, he's like that little kid. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm just happy to have friends.
I feel happy for the guy, right? He's found some kindred spirits right there that he can spend his time with. I mean, his brother is kind of like really crazy, and that might not be a cult he wants to be involved in. So, yeah, he's got some friends that he can go and job with. It's fantastic for him, right? So good stuff. Now, before this match starts, you've got JBL instantly drop a Leicester City reference here. Leicester City, if you don't know, are on the brink of winning the championship, even though almost relegated last year. They were 5,000 to 1 to win the title at the beginning of the year.
It's the one thing I don't get is the fact that it's like Leicester City. It's like you don't even have Barrett out here.
Yeah, like it's like he's like he the reference is here is that he was like, oh, so you can put a bunch of outcasts together and they can win championships. And I'm like, okay, but the difference is Leicester are going to win the Premier League, which is the beauty of sports, right? But there's no way that this team are going to win the tag team titles. They're not, let alone the world championship. It just ain't happening, right? So, a winner over Titus O'Neil is not winning the Premier League. They're not on the same level, but still. Fans were getting behind Titus here before he gets beaten by the most devastating finishing move in wrestling history, the Roll Boy School Up Pin, which claims another victim, Matt. Matt, maybe that's what made Titus
Did you intentionally just screw that up?
What do you mean?
The Roll Boy Screw Up Pin.
Did I just fuck that up completely? I think
Yeah.
The schoolboy roll-up pin. There you go.
That's it.
So there you are. But yeah, maybe that's what set him off later on in the night, because he just couldn't take being beaten by such a devastating move. Maybe it jumbled up his head. That's why he grabbed Vince. You know, tell me what beat me. I can't figure it out. And that's what got him, suspended, so he can go back and look at the.
He needs 60 days to recover.
Exactly. Yeah. They did it for his own health, Matt. So they give him 60 days to recover from that schoolboy roll-up pin because, fuck me, that's devastating right there. So, and you know what? Even jobbers need to get the odd victory, and especially as Titus is going away for 60 days. It's not as if he's getting the push anymore. So there we are. Fair enough. They show Bryan's first title victory against John Cena at SummerSlam. I will say that was quite a match. I was
Well, do you know one thing I didn't like
about that match?
Not about that match. About it was actually something about that video package that was mentioned.
Go on.
And it was Lawler basically saying that this is the first time that Bryan's ever won the gold. Yet they showed a video package earlier of him winning the heavyweight championship.
Okay, I know what you mean, and I would agree with you. But I mean, I guess they're going with the WWE titles are always going to be more prestigious than the world heavyweight championship. So, but still, that was a big moment for him, though. I will say that was.
Oh yeah,
huge
and then he got dicked over.
He got dicked over. Yeah. Ambrose is back out. This is when he does call out Brock Lesnar. He starts talking some proper shit about him, going, "Oh well, I guess you have gone soft. It sounds like a personal problem. You can't get it up for the big fight, Matt." And I'm like, to be honest, if you can't get it up for a woman like Sable, then that you do have a problem. You know, I will say right there. So, if he's having erectile issues, then that is quite the issue right there. If you've got a woman like Sable around, yeah. I thought the delightful smack talking from Ambrose here was fantastic. I thought that was great.
Well, it can't have been an F5 because I thought it was meant to hurt.
Yeah. Lesnar does come down, and he humbles. Shall we just say, almost like Sheik would say, "I'll break his back and I'll humble him." He got a bit humbled here.
Oh yeah.
But after all the beating that he does get, and he does get a bit of a beating, he's like, "No, come back and give me more. Come on, I'm not done yet." This, like I said, this is what building up to that match. I was like, I really want to see it. Reigns shows up on the Titantron and gives Ambrose the opening to give a low blow, and that, like, Brock Lesnar's dick is basically becoming his Achilles heel at this point. Like, actually, talking about that, maybe he is having erectile issues because everyone keeps kicking him in the penis.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not the Undertaker, you know, it's fucking Dean Ambrose, right? And you know, maybe he goes home and the only injuries he has to deal with is the fact his dick is black and blue from all the people fucking punching it or kicking it. You know, so poor guy. You know, maybe he needs to just wear a cup to the ring. Maybe that's what he needs to do. Still, Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground. I want to talk about Lucha Underground, don't I? No, Lucha Dragons. I'm speeding up towards the end of this review, by the way, because we are running out of time. Lucha Dragons versus Del Rio and Rusev. Sin Cara makes his return here from, remember, he dislocated his shoulder but finished that match. Big kudos to him. And I wonder how much, Matt, in that case, how much Kalisto's single matches exploits will affect their team dynamic. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do with them here. Maybe they might just...
I think it will affect it.
I mean, it's either two ways. Either the team's going to break up or Kalisto's losing that title. He's not keeping that championship.
Yeah, I don't think they can remain... I don't know. I don't think they can keep both sort of parts of him going.
Yeah, and just have Sin Cara around when Kalisto needs a tag team partner every now and then.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes from there. If I was going to say anything, I think that Kalisto's probably going to lose the title and then they'll just go back to being a tag team.
I hope not.
But I don't think he's losing it to Del Rio. I think that would be really silly because then they had to have another rematch of the losing. Oh god! But they'll have like 10 different US Championship reigns between them. But still, talking about that, Matt, Fastlane has to be, without any question, it has to be the last singles match between Del Rio and Kalisto.
Agreed.
It's like the 6th one they've had. It's getting overkill at this point, but still. A video of earlier in the day, Matt. You've got R-Truth outside of the arena. Goldust is dressed up like Jimi Hendrix, and he smashes his guitar and then babbles on about being Jimmy until a security man takes him away. Now, you're probably already guessing by my tone that this week, Goldust, when he magically manages to pull something off, fair play. He didn't do it this week for me. I thought this was garbage.
No.
I thought this was really fucking stupid. And I was just like, I struggled to see what joke they were trying to say or what the punchline was. I was just like, this is really bad. And guys, brace yourself, because I think with this story that they're trying to tell, it's either going to be, it's either going to hit or it's going to go very fucking far. It's going to miss so far, it's going to skew into another fucking driving range. It's going to go somewhere else. But that's just the way I see it. It's either going to, you're going to get a chuckle from it, or it's going to be awful. There's no middle ground with this.
And I hope we're going to laugh at it. Otherwise, it's just going to be really upsetting.
Yeah, there we are. They show the takeover segment, the Occupy Raw with Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
I thought that this was absolutely fantastic. I thought that Bryan, this was a segment that you just never saw coming, and it really was good. I thought, and with Bryan, with all these people in the ring, and he was talking all the smack to Stephanie and Trips, and basically strong-arming them into giving him 2 matches at WrestleMania, essentially. And I thought it was good stuff. One thing that did make me smile, Matt, do you remember the guy that was in the ring that just kept wanting to give Daniel Bryan a hug? He just kept hugging him over.
Oh, the one who was like over into it, like really into it.
Yeah. I thought, fair play.
I didn't see him actually.
You only catch a glimpse of him. It was just something I remembered from that time. I just thought, he's in there with a guy that he's a big fan of. He's just like constantly trying to hug him and stuff. And bless him. Becky versus Tamina. Sasha Banks is on commentary. I thought there was a large part of this whole dynamic here that was fucking stupid. And I'll go into it. I wonder if you thought the same, Matt. She says, initially, Sasha, that she's there to make sure that Becky can do more than just an arm drag. And I'm like, surely you already know that. Not just from being on Raw, but from NXT. You had a world-class match with the woman. Do you not...
Well, it happened on Raw. I guess they have to basically just plead ignorance.
I know, but it came off as stupid to me. I was
Agreed.
In fact, commentary went in circles around that so much because Sasha kept having to play up the pretense that she was there to scout if Becky was any good. And I'm like...
Well, it's like whether she can handle it on her own or whether it's like... But you know that. It's like... Yeah.
And they kept going around, Matt. They went around
even if
circles.
it's just like the fact that to ignore the fact that they had a world-class match at NXT... Like, it's to just completely neglect the fact that they had... That she could have even just watched a match of Becky's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, oh, no, I thought it was fucking stupid, if I'm honest. And the fact is, I think Becky even has a pinfall victory over her since they came up to the main roster. So I don't know. Maybe not so much. Maybe she's beat... But... Still, I thought even then they made a point which I thought was dumb, but they kept doing it. They kept going around and round and round in circles, saying the same stuff for about 5 minutes. And I was like,
yeah,
this commentary is fucking awful. Now, Sasha does eventually get up. She gets attacked by Naomi outside, and when she clocks her, the visual of when she lands on the ground and her glasses and all her fucking jewelry and all this shit just flying off in different directions, that was a pretty cool visual. I was like, okay, yeah. that's pretty cool. And then Tamina takes advantage with a super kick and wins the match. And they're playing up the whole dynamic of, well, Sasha and Becky don't know how to work as a team. Which, again, is bullshit considering they worked as a team in NXT. So,
that's it.
There you are.
Oh, well. I just quite like the fact that, like, I was just like, what's that Sasha's wearing? There's like 3 different colour of Bayley bracelet.
Yeah. She's going to be pulling a lot for Bayley,
Yeah.
They all are. New Day are speaking to Mark Henry backstage. They offer him a unicorn a unicorn horn to mount on their head. And then they dance with Big E. And
it all gets a bit weird.
Yeah, like initially I was like, because I watched this in 2 different bits, because I never watch Raw in one sitting, because I would probably not want to do this podcast anymore, shall we say. I love New Day, but the point of this segment was like, what are they doing? Like, because I forgot initially that they were looking for a partner. I was just so much like, oh okay.
Yeah.
Random.
I mean, do you remember when Big E and Henry were a tag team?
No, it wasn't for very long though, was it? Really?
I know it wasn't.
But I tell you what though, Matt, talking about Mark Henry, I'm like, if they want to shake things up a bit, why not have Henry in the New Day? Like, I'm sure he doesn't have a problem making a little bit of a fool of himself, and he's not doing anything anyway.
Hell,
right?
he's the father of a hand.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Pretty sure he's okay with being a bit of a fool.
It wouldn't be like the worst thing he's done. He was sexual chocolate, right? His character was having active sex with Mae Young every week, apparently. It's gone, So like he's done weirder stuff, but like he could be there and he could be the group's veteran, and he can do some stuff with them. And I just thought maybe it gives them something a little bit interesting to do. But in the same breath, I'm like, the New Day are fine as they are, and maybe playing up with that dynamic is not the best, but still, regardless. But can you imagine him in a rainbow singlet? Now that would be
scary.
Yeah, he would strike more fear into anyone than with the Hall of Pain stuff. If he just comes out with a rainbow thing, he starts doing the clap like Kofi does it, skips to the ring like that. That would put the fear of God into people. It really would. They wouldn't know what to do. So this match is, to be honest, I didn't think it was that great. I thought it was over before it much stuff.
I honestly couldn't believe it.
What, the match itself?
The match itself. I was just like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, it was quite funny, just like, do the splash, and Mark Henry's just like, fuck you guys. Yeah,
I thought that, like, them asking him to do the splash was a step too far when he'd already mounted the unicorn horn and he's already fucking jiving in the ring with Big E.
Yeah.
That doing a splash on their opponent was the thing that took it too far. I was like, okay. So obviously then Big E gets the Dudley Death Drop through the table. They win. But then the Dudleys turn on the Usos. And I'm like, fair play, because the Dudleys have lost all of their steam from when they returned. So going heel, having a new dynamic here, oh man, I'm well for it. They weren't doing anything interesting before then. So all they did was wrestle the New Day for about 3 months non-stop, and then they did nothing after that. So, and they had a few good matches with the ECW crew against the Wyatts, I guess. So there was that. They air the final Bryan video package, which is kind of like a rundown kind of his career. I recommend, if you really want to get like pumped up for a Daniel Bryan match, the actual video package they aired before his match against Triple H, the monster video package for him, that is probably one of the best ones you'll ever watch. I thought that was done so well. So if you want to feel part, this one was good, of course. As I say always, WWE's video production division, phenomenal as always. So good stuff. Then you've got the Daniel Bryan retirement speech. Now, I don't want to talk too much about it because really it's a speech that you should go out and watch yourself. Coming from my words, it's not going to have any of the meaning that really it should. So really I'll just run down that he's clean-shaven now. Well, not clean-shaven. He's as clean-shaven as you're going to get. Tidied it up. Which is good because maybe I'm one of the only people. I didn't like it when he started looking like a pro wrestling Jesus Christ, but still. He puts over a lot of people like Kane, William Regal, Conor the Crusher. Talks a lot about his wife. He gets choked up talking about his father, and if you've read his book, you can tell how much his father meant to him. And having WrestleMania 30 as a memory for him, obviously clearly meant a lot for him as well. And he gets his final yes chant. And I'm sure he'll get more yes chants, because I'm sure he'll pop up on the show from time to time, but it's a special one for him. And Brie comes down, they celebrate, and that's the end of the show. I'm really glossing over that. But like I said, coming from me, you just have none of the emotion of it. It was a very emotional, I thought it was a very well-worded speech, Matt, from him. Clearly something that he had taken a lot of time into thinking of, and I thought he was very genuine, Matt. I thought it was very good. And I liked how WWE gave him a lot of time. In fact, they went well over time for him, even so.
Well, to the fact that they had to carry on the network for 10 minutes.
That's it. But good stuff. All in all, though, Matt, I thought this was an okay episode. I thought, in terms of actual wrestling to be watching here, there's not really any matches I can point out and say, yeah, definitely go give this one a watch. I don't think there was really any of them like that on this show, if I'm honest. They built up like that tables match, which ended very quickly. There wasn't really that much that happened at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say give this a once over, the show, and pay special attention to that Bryan speech, because I mean, if you even enjoyed any of Daniel Bryan, hell, even out of respect for, even if you don't like him, just out of respect for him, I think we owe it to him to at very, very least hear his final
just for
words.
some gratitude.
Yeah, and
go on. Terrible thing to say like that.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, and but yeah. that's my overall review of the show. Do you have anything different, or would you say give it once over, or even give it a skip apart from the ending?
I'd give it a once at least.
Yeah. It's got Lesnar in there and Ambrose, like I said.
Which gets interesting, yeah.
Yeah. There's certainly some stuff to miss. Like I thought that Goldust stuff was crap.
It was longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, it really was. So yeah, that's the end of the show. I'm quite glad here. I think we've just gone over 2 hours, but I mean that's fine. It's a lot less than we were like logging in like 2 hours 20 minutes like the last couple of weeks, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to just address before we finish the show?
No, nothing else really.
Everyone wish Matt happy birthday this week in the comments. I'm just telling them to do it now. And sing to him in the comments so you make him awkward, feel him uncomfortable. And for every person that says happy birthday, I'll tell you what, I'll just to piss you off, Matt. Everyone that says happy birthday to Matt, I'll read them out next week for him, even though it's well past his birthday. I'm just going to do it anyway. Because that's the power I have, Matt. That's the power I have.
Because I can.
Because I can. Alright guys, so if you did enjoy the episode, then you can leave a like. Even better though, you can subscribe to the channel if you're new, and that way you can help us reach what we're hoping to get as 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. You can also leave any questions you would like to ask us, and that will get answered on air at the facebook.com/letstalkwrestlingpodcast. You can also do it on that Twitter handle
of @TalkWrestlePod.
I thought you were going to miss it there for a minute, Matt.
No. I was like, oh, you nearly caught me.
Yeah, almost. Apart from that, we hope you guys have a great week. We'll catch you again for the Lucha reviews that happen over the week, which have been getting over great, by the way. In fact, the Lucha review officially now, our first episode of the new season, the review of that is our most watched ever video on this channel, which is crazy. But good stuff. Apart from that, like I said, have a great week, and hopefully we can get through another week without someone getting injured or someone retiring or any sort of bad news like this. But come on, it's wrestling, and it's this year. This year sucks, so
that's true.
It's going to happen. All right then, guys, have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you soon.
All right then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.